It's good to see you after a while.
Good to see you too.
The release of the 344 schoolboys in Katsina. I mean, when I heard about the abduction and the release, for me, it was like a plus for the current government, given the trends in terms of kidnapping of students. On Saturday, we heard again that 180 were kidnapped, and then I think 80 of them released on Sunday. What do you make of the current situation with kidnapping of students?
That's right. That's the news I got too. You see, the point is that it's very difficult for us to really analyze and not tempted to say that these kidnaps are choreographed. Because if you look at the way it happened, you ask questions. What is really happening? 600 students? Did they march them out onto the field and ask each of them to stay on a straight line and they pick them up? Did they come carrying them with luxury buses? From what we read, they were all taken away at the back of motorbikes. How many people does a motorbike carry? 3 at most. So that means there must have been at least 200 motorbikes with the riders. You see, it beats my imagination because it's like it's a deja vu. The same thing that happened with the kidnap of Chibok girls. I mean, the villagers were there, everybody was there, and these girls were spirited away in vans, in vehicles. It took long time, maybe about 2 hours, before these students were all collected from dormitories and taken away.
We know that security forces are the ones who are fighting and trying to keep the country safe. But as citizens, don't we have a role to play? I mean, where were the villagers when these children were taken away? What role should we play as members of the community in protecting ourselves and the nation?
See, the problem from what I read is that it is a war within the same people fighting themselves. Because these same villagers, when they give information to the security, it is the same security that will leak it to the bandits, to the Boko Haram people or the terrorists or whatever you call them.
But how are we sure about that?
Sorry?
How are we sure that is the same security people who give out the information?
Well, that is what they said. They said the military said that is because the citizens gave them the security information about the terrorists. But on the other hand, you ask, if the military had this information about the terrorists, they would have prevented them from attacking. I mean, look at the farmers that were beheaded recently that the terrorists gave. And you can't imagine that in a country where somebody claimed that he is going to restore security, restore safety of citizens, bandits, terrorists are even exchanging words with the federal government. This is very shameful.
I don't know how much you know about terrorism and counterterrorism. I took a short course in it, and I know that this is something that doesn't go away easily. Nigeria is a very complex country. You and I know that. In a situation where you have a complex situation like that, how do you deal with it?
Well, we are also causing the complexity. I mean, this is a situation where there were so-called Boko Haram bandits that were arrested and they were put to prison, and after some time they were released. You remember when the American soldiers were here to help us? Why did they pull out? They said that after holding security meetings, before you could go outside, the Boko Haram, they know everything that they discussed. So what does that tell you? That there is a mole inside. So there is always a mole.
So in other words, are you suggesting that it is our will, is the will of Nigeria to make this a vicious circle?
Of course, somebody wrote it the other day in the paper saying that the people who are profiting from this will never allow it to go away. And that is why it's coming to become a vicious circle.
And you know what, Dr. AG, a lot of people are also worried that this is happening around students, and people are wondering, is it safe for students to go back to school? in the northern part of Nigeria, for instance, at the moment, maybe after the Yuletide season, do you think parents will feel safe allowing their children to go back to school, especially those who are in boarding school, given the trends we see today?
Yeah, I know if I were a parent with my child in any of those schools, I'll be scared too. Because first of all, the Boko Haram, they claim one of their policies is no to Western education.
But is that
So,
really true?
sorry?
Is that true? Because we see
How,
them on the net. We see them on
how can it be
video.
true? They are using Western civilization every day. They use AK-47 instead of spear and arrow. They use the radio. They use the internet. They make videos. They use the bombs. So are those not Western civilization? Back to the question you asked, I will be very scared. They want to stop education by all means, and they want to establish their own type of culture, just like the Taliban. I remember when they started in 2008-9, they claimed that they are Nigerian Taliban. And when I read it, I said, this marks a problem.
Some regions are beginning to form security network. Is that what will solve this issue?
I will say, first of all, I do not understand why this strong-headedness with the apex of this governance of our country. And what I mean by this is that whether by constitutional provisions or ordinary principles and methods, procedures, when you are trying to solve a particular problem with one solution and it doesn't work, and you continue doing the same thing every now and then, and you expect to get a different result, no, you must be mistaken somewhere. We have people we call security chiefs. They have been at the helm of affairs for more than 5 years. And when they were being appointed, it's like, oh, everything is going to change. 200 villages we are run over by Boko Haram. Today, it's even worse than those days. Because I do not remember any local government that elections did not take place in 2015. But today, look at farmers cannot even go and harvest their rice. Onions, I understand, is very expensive in the south because farmers cannot go and farm, cannot harvest their onions. So unless we change the headship of these military, of these security agencies, I mean, the National Assembly, both Senate and House of Reps, have called on the president to, let me not use the word sack, relieve them of their positions.
You talk about those who are at the top of the military, changing them and replacing them with new people. This is not a new narrative. I've heard that before. Do you think this is about changing those at the top? Do you think that will be the game changer?
Try, let's see. First of all, let them try that, and let's see. Yes, I mean, you and I know when we were in secondary school, we learned what is called monotony. Right. When you do something over and over, it becomes very monotonous. You're not challenged. Because if you look at the narrative, it is the same thing they say every day when oh, this city is attacked, 100 people are abducted and stuff like that. It's the same narrative, the same answer, nothing new.
There was a question I asked before you went towards the issue of changing leadership, which is about what we're noticing now. I've seen a couple of videos online showing that regions are beginning to form security network. And I'm saying, will that change the problem?
I do think so, yes.
How?
You see, initially there has been this question of asking for state police. Why I would not go for state police directly or would not support it directly is because our governors and the way our political systems work, the governors will now be in charge of those security outfits and will use them against their opponents. Now, remember, some months ago, the Imo State governor signed a law giving him power to arrest anybody at his pleasure. And that person can only be released when at his pleasure he decides that, okay, this person has been of good behavior, he can be released. So you can imagine what can happen. But at the same time, when you have regional security outfits, because they are coming from within the community, members of the community know them, they identify them. I mean, in the culture, in the native community, there are ways they deal with miscreants. Something like where I come from, there could be a meeting called Aladima, everybody will be there. And if you have committed any crime, you'll be singled out, and then there will be judgment. And then you serve your punishment. So I believe that if every region is allowed to have their security outfit within their region, that will help. As far as I do know, I have read about the that is spectacular performance of the Amoteku, the Southwestern Regional Outfit. They are working well. And that brings me to another question. Why is it that when the Easterners, Southeastern, South-South wanted to set up theirs, that is when the IG of police came down and dissuaded them from doing that? Allow them to form these regional outfits and see if they can fight these menace by themselves. Because if you go to the Southeast or South-South, most of the policemen, the military people you see there, they're all from the North.
When those who are in charge of security forces stepping in situations like this, it still has to do with the complex nature of Nigeria and the fact that when you allow a region to control its own security outfit, it might get out of hand and also cause problems for some other parts of the country. Don't forget, we're talking about a multicultural society and we're all under one umbrella.
Then, if you're talking of a multicultural society, decentralize the security outfit. That's the only way. You and I know we live here. We know that police is controlled by the city, not even the province. Even though there is at the provincial level, they have their own provincial police. But first of all, primary is the city. We have Elma Police, Quebec Police, Ontario Police, Ottawa, OPP. So these police or whatever security, they start from the city and they report at the end. At the federal level, you have the RCMP. We could have something like that, just like the US do. They have the FBI, which is federal. But each city has its own police, which they pay. So if we decentralize the security outfits, especially police, I believe there will be improvement. The army remains a military thing, sorry, a federal thing anywhere in the world.
Some parliamentarians from Nigeria a few years back came to Canada to study the Canadian experience. And I heard the same story that you're telling now. And I was wondering and asking, so you come to a place like this to get knowledge and then you go back and then it's back to business as usual?
I've seen them come and go. I've gone to one agency in Nigeria to give a workshop 1 week. But when we wanted to continue to, follow them up so that we make sure that they understood what we came to give them, they said, no, we're okay, don't come again. So these people that come over here is just to come. Yes, now you're asking, what about the governors of states who go abroad every day? They see how the roads are. They see the gutters. They see the lights. They see everything. Why do they not go back and do the same, replicate it? When they are sick, they come abroad. Who built those hospitals, those clinics? Are they not human beings? Why can't we do it in our place? We tend to kind of deceive ourselves by thinking that Nigeria's problem is very complex, it's very difficult, it's very diverse. All these other nations are very diverse. Look at Canada, the diversity here.
What it means is that this is not just about leadership. It's about everyone, from the top, from the federal to the state to the electorate. So everyone is involved, which takes me back to the issue of being when I say Nigeria is a complex country, because you went to train people and you can see that this is not about governors. This is not about the president. This is not about a minister. We're talking about heads of parastatals. We're talking about people who work there. So I want to believe that this is something that has to do with renewal of our minds?
I tell you, it still has everything to do with the headship. They say if the head is rotten, the whole body is rotten. I do remember in 1984, I was doing my youth service in Ekiti. I did Ekiti that time, when our president uh, became the head of state. Discipline, discipline, discipline was the end thing. Even though some people are still saying, discipline, is that what we're going to eat? You're talking about discipline. Let us hear about the economy. Remember, that is when we started counter trading, trading our crude oil, raw crude oil, to pay off debts. So what I'm driving at is that time, that discipline paid off. These heads of agencies you're mentioning now, they stood up. They will come to work. 8 o'clock, they're all there. And that time, financial discipline reigned. But later on, when everybody just like, do as you like, everything went down. It is discipline right from the top. If you see your governor doing something very good, that means you toe that line. If you see your governor not coming late to work, there's no reason why you, an ordinary commissioner or permanent secretary or any of the officers, will want to come late to work. When your governor has his children all in the same secondary school in the city, you will also want your children to go to that school. Oh, my children and the governor's children are in the same school. But when the governor and his fellow compatriots send all their children abroad, you will also want to send your children abroad. So if that reawakening, that social engineering, if it starts from the top, I bet you Nigerians will change. They are amenable to change. Not when your daughter is wedding, you go to Dubai and spend billions of naira. And I'll ask you, what do you work? What is your work? What is your salary? How do you get such money? And now you are there since 3 months. You are still there, complaining about security. So we need that your social reawakening renewal to start from the top. Yes, there is problem with followership. And by that time, I'm sure the followership will learn that, oh, we are also part of the problem. I mean, followership, you go to on the street in Itire, somebody comes out on a Saturday with what we call rubbish and throws it into the gutter. By the time he gets somebody who corrects him, either in a punitive way or otherwise, another person will copy from that. And our gutter should be clean. But when you say you're contracting out clean of gutters and you collect 80% of the amount that you're supposed to use to service those gutters and leave the contractors with 20%, what do you expect? The thing is that the problem of Nigeria, everybody knows the problem and knows how to solve it, but nobody wants to.
Let's hear your final parting words as we close this chapter until we move to the next one some other time.
Right. What I want to say with respect to security is that we have to start telling ourselves the truth. The 300 students that were abducted and released, nobody has told us the truth. We just hear the army. We just hear everybody coming to say, I didn't pay a penny. Like, who are you telling? That's what the governor is saying. They didn't pay a penny. Okay, even if they didn't pay a penny, that means they know who they are. They know where they are. Why don't you preempt them? Go and arrest them. Let them tell us why they are doing this. And then social workers will come in to see how we can re-engage these people into the society. How we can re-engage them. Because I'm sure there are many of them who don't even know why they are kidnapping people, who don't know why they're into banditry. They give them drugs and they're all gone. And that is why the emergency schools that were established by the former government, if we had continued with that, not just in the north, even in the south, there are many children in the south who cannot go to school because their parents cannot afford to pay. Now you see in the north, students are being begged to come and school. In the south, students are begging to go to school because they don't have money to pay. So we need to start telling ourselves the truth and stop taking Nigerians for a ride. Otherwise, one day, I don't know, I'm not there.
All right, you're not there, but you have family there, and we all go back there. So,
And that is what pains me. When I see my family that is there, my friends and everybody, I mean, I feel bad that they are being treated like this. The last time, as far as I know now, talking about schools, most of the secondary schools now are being maintained by members of the alumni. I know that is normal thing that schools in developed world, universities, they do that. But maybe at the level of universities or post-secondary, but not at ordinary secondary school, primary school level. The infrastructure in these places are so dilapidated. You can never want to teach there or let your child go there. Open roof, no seats. They sit on cinder blocks to write whatever they're writing. And you expect those people to become engineers, become aeronautic space people. You expect them to become molecular biologists to find vaccine for COVID-19? No.